It has been 36 years since Harlem Nights, 1989, shook Hollywood with laughter, sin, and destiny. The film once shone brightly with legendary comedians, but few knew that behind the glamour were lives filled with tragedy. Some died young, some spent their final years battling illness, and others, against all odds, became A-list stars that no one expected. Let's look back at the journeys of the names that made Harlem Nights unforgettable. Redd Foxx as Benny Wilson. Redd Foxx was born on December 9, 1922, in St. Louis, Missouri. At 67 years old, he played Benny Wilson in Harlem Nights, 1989. A sly, funny old hustler who brought soul and laughter to the film, marking one of the final roles of his life. Yet behind that spotlight was a life drowning in debt. As the chaos of show business began to fade, Foxx's career collapsed under massive IRS tax debt. The star who once earned $4 million a year saw his house, cars, and possessions seized, forcing him to file for bankruptcy in 1983. Fans were shocked to see the man who had once made them laugh uncontrollably on Sanford and Son reduced to an empty bed in a bare apartment. He married 4 times, had no children, and often said that was a pain that can never be redeemed. His last marriage to Ka Ho Cho was surrounded by controversy over alleged violence, further damaging his reputation. When he returned to the spotlight with the royal family in 1991, Foxx was trying to rebuild his life. But tragedy struck during an ordinary day on set. In the middle of rehearsal, he collapsed from a heart attack. At first, his co-stars thought he was reenacting his famous fake heart attack scene from Sanford and Son. When he didn't get up, they realized it was real, and too late to save him. Redd Foxx passed away on October 11, 1991, in Los Angeles, at the age of 68. He was buried at Palm Eastern Cemetery in Las Vegas. The man who once shook the world with laughter died quietly, leaving behind more than $3.5 million in debt and an immortal legacy in comedy. Richard Pryor as Sugar Ray. Richard Pryor was born on December 1, 1940, in Peoria, Illinois. At 49 years old, he portrayed Sugar Ray, the wise casino owner, both foster father and soul of Harlem Nights, 1989. Alongside Eddie Murphy and Redd Foxx, Pryor brought the charm of a comedy legend, but behind that smile lay a life steeped in pain. When the Hollywood lights dimmed, Pryor was no longer the man electrifying stages with razor-sharp satire. He fell into illness and memories haunted by addiction. The pain from his 1980 self-immolation, the result of a cocaine binge, left black scars across his body and a wound in his soul that never healed. Failed romances and broken marriages followed one after another. The man who once made the world laugh had become a prisoner of himself. By the 1990s, multiple sclerosis slowly weakened him, confining him to a wheelchair for the rest of his life. His fortune dwindled, but his legacy endured. 5 Grammys, 1 Emmy, and millions who still remember him as the truest man in a world of lies. Even in agony, he joked that his disease stood for MS, more shit. Self-mockery was his only way to fight fate. On December 10, 2005, Richard Pryor took his final breath in Los Angeles after a heart attack, aged 65. His ashes were scattered in the waters of Hawaii. With an estimated net worth of $40 million at the time of his death, he left as he had lived, brilliant, chaotic, and irreplaceable. Eddie Murphy as Quick. Eddie Murphy was born on April 3, 1961, in Brooklyn, New York. At 28 years old, he was not only the lead actor, but also the writer and director. As Quick, Murphy embodied a young gambler, clever, daring, and loyal, standing shoulder to shoulder with the legendary Richard Pryor in Harlem Nights, 1989. Yet no one expected that this film, seemingly a golden milestone, would throw his career into turmoil. From that moment, the cracks in his stardom began to show. Harlem Nights was harshly attacked by critics, plunging Murphy into crisis. The once unshakable box office king saw his confidence crumble while his reputation was tarnished by scandals and accusations of arrogance. Though he tried to recover with Boomerang, 1992, and The Nutty Professor, 1996, the triumph was never quite the same. The higher his fame rose, the lonelier he became. Murphy has 10 children with multiple women, including Mel B of the Spice Girls, making his private life constant tabloid fodder. The pressure of fame led him to retreat after a string of box office flops like The Adventures of Pluto Nash, 2002. The man who once made the world roar with laughter now lives quietly in his multi-million-dollar Beverly Hills mansion. Today, Eddie Murphy is 64 years old. He still appears occasionally in comedy and voice acting projects, preparing sequels for Shrek and Beverly Hills Cop 4. With an estimated net worth of about $200 million, Murphy remains one of the most successful black comedians of all time, Della Reese as Madame Vera. Della Reese was born on July 6, 1931 in Detroit, Michigan. At 58 years old, she portrayed Madame Vera, a sharp, strong, and witty woman who clashed fiercely with Quick. The role not only showcased her acting talent, but also marked a triumphant comeback for a gospel singer who had nearly died from a brain hemorrhage. When the film lights went out, Reese had to face deep emotional wounds. After her 1979 brain injury, she had to relearn how to speak and sing while her once thriving music career declined. Instead of surrendering, Reese turned to faith, becoming a minister and evangelist, spreading messages of light and belief to millions. But tragedy still haunted her. She suffered multiple miscarriages and lost her daughter, Della Reese, in 2002, a cruel blow that even tested her faith. In the 1990s, Reese rose again with the hit TV series Touched by an Angel, becoming the beloved Angel Tess, known around the world. Alongside Roma Downey, she brought hope and spiritual comfort to audiences everywhere. Yet behind that divine glow, she continued battling type 2 diabetes and pain caused by her brain injury. Her marriage to Franklin Lett endured for decades, both a refuge and a challenge, but he remained by her side until the end. On November 19, 2017, Della Reese passed away at her Los Angeles home at the age of 86. The woman with the angelic voice left behind a net worth of about $3 million and a legacy of faith, artistry, and resilience. To her fans, she will forever remain an angel in real life. Arsenio Hall as Crying Man. Arsenio Hall was born on February 12, 1956 in Cleveland, Ohio. When he appeared in Harlem Nights, 1989 at 33 years old, he played Crying Man, a timid, emotional, yet humorous character who brought a touch of lightness to a film filled with crime and violence. Though the role was small, it marked the moment Hall stepped from comedy's backstage into stardom. When the curtain closed, Hall entered the real world. That same year, he launched The Arsenio Hall Show, a late-night program that became a national sensation. But after its cancellation in 1994, the lights went out. Hall vanished into the shadows of fame. No projects, no contracts, and the man who once made America laugh was now surrounded by silence. During the 2000s, he tried to make a comeback through smaller projects and a 2013 revival of his talk show. But it ended in disappointment. His personal life also carried its burdens. Never married, he raised his son Arsenio Jr. alone, enduring years of insomnia and financial strain. The death of his mother in 1998 drove him into deep depression, forcing him to retreat from Hollywood for an extended period. Now, Arsenio Hall is 69 years old. He occasionally appears in special programs or comedy films like Coming to America, 2021, and lives peacefully in Los Angeles with his son. With an estimated net worth of $16 million, he no longer chases fame. Instead, he embraces tranquility, remaining a legendary figure in in late-night television history. Danny Aiello as Phil Cantone. Danny Aiello was born on June 20th, 1933, in Manhattan, New York. At 56 years old, he portrayed Phil Cantone, a corrupt police officer representing the dark underbelly of 1930s Harlem. Although the role came late in his career, Aiello surprised audiences with a deeply layered performance, blending cold detachment with a distorted sense of humanity. After leaving the Harlem Nights set, Aiello continued to make waves with Do the Right Thing, 1989. His portrayal of Sal earned him both Oscar and Golden Globe nominations, propelling him into A-list status even past the age of 50. But that fame came at a bitter cost. Hollywood began typecasting him as the Italian gangster, forcing him to struggle for more nuanced roles. Financial stress, aging, and supporting parts pushed him toward emotional exhaustion, while his more than 60-year marriage to Sandy Cohen also faced turmoil due to debt and illness. In 2010, Aiello was devastated by the death of his son, Danny Aiello III, from pancreatic cancer, a loss that plunged the once strong father into long-term depression. After that, he appeared only occasionally in independent films such as Dinner Rush, 2000, and Brooklyn Lobster, 2005. He lived quietly in his New Jersey home, weighed down by time and painful arthritis. Danny Aiello passed away on December 12, 2019, in New Jersey, at the age of 86, from a severe infection following a long battle with arthritis. His estimated $6 million fortune could never fill the void left by loss and grief. Michael Lerner as Bugsy Calhoun. Michael Lerner was born on June 22, 1941, in Brooklyn, New York. At 48 years old, he played Bugsy Calhoun, a ruthless crime boss embodying the darkness and unrestrained ambition of the gangster world. The role made Lerner stand out among a cast of stars, portraying a powerful man haunted by fear and loneliness. Following that success, Lerner gained even greater recognition for his role as Jack Lipnick in Barton Fink, 1991, which earned him a prestigious Oscar nomination. Yet from that peak, Hollywood began to typecast him in grim, villainous roles, mobsters, corrupt politicians, or fame-obsessed figures. Lerner once bitterly remarked, "I can play the good guy, but no one seems to believe it." Career pressure and years of obesity led Lerner to suffer from heart disease and diabetes. Lonely and childless, he once confided to friends that what scared him most wasn't death itself, but dying without anyone knowing. Still, audiences fondly remember him for his psychologically rich performances in Elf, 2003, and Godzilla, 1998. His life mirrored the very characters he so often portrayed, powerful on screen, but fragile within. On April 8, 2023, Michael Lerner passed away in Burbank, California, at the age of 81, due to cardiac complications. He left quietly, with no wife or children, leaving behind an estimated fortune of $3 million and the legacy of a true unsung hero of Hollywood. Charlie Murphy as Jimmy. Charlie Murphy was born on July 12, 1959, in Brooklyn, New York. At 30 years old, he played Jimmy, a funny, quick-witted man who brought light moments amid the film's blood-soaked confrontations in Harlem Nights, 1989. Yet few knew that behind that smile lay a life overshadowed by darkness. After Harlem Nights ended, Charlie struggled to step out of the shadow of being Eddie's brother. He began writing scripts, acting, and eventually broke through with Chappelle's Show, 2003 to 2006, where his True Hollywood Stories sketches made America roar with laughter. But beyond that brief flash of glory came a long decline. Failed movies, canceled contracts, and overwhelming loneliness. His wife, Tisha Taylor, died of cancer in 2009, leaving behind 2 young children and an emptiness Charlie could never fill. Her death plunged him into deep depression. He isolated himself from Hollywood, performing only occasionally in small comedy clubs. But fate had one more cruel twist. Charlie was diagnosed with leukemia. He kept his illness private, continuing to tour and perform, smiling on stage even as his body began to fail. Charlie Murphy passed away on April 12, 2017, in New York, at the age of 57. He left behind a fortune of about $2.5 million, and a painful reminder that even the funniest people often carry unseen tragedies. Jasmine Guy as Dominique LaRue. Jasmine Guy was born on March 10, 1962, in Boston, Massachusetts. At 27 years old, she portrayed Dominique LaRue, a seductive, dangerous, and calculating woman who commanded every gaze in the room. The role marked an early career peak, elevating her from A Different World TV fame to a late 1980s symbol of sensuality and power. But the glamour didn't last. After A Different World ended, Hollywood quickly typecast her in minor supporting roles, alluring but forgettable women of color. Jasmine fell into a spiral of unemployment, financial ruin, and heartbreak. Her marriage to Terrence Duckett collapsed in 2008 after a decade of emotional strain. She raised her daughter Imani alone in a small Atlanta apartment while battling lupus, a chronic illness that left her exhausted and in pain daily. She found solace in independent acting, appearing in Dead Like Me, 2003 to 2004, and The Vampire Diaries, 2009 to 2017. Though her roles were small, her elegance and emotional depth reminded audiences of her early brilliance. Her close friendship with Tupac Shakur became both a cherished and haunting memory after his death, another wound in a life marked by loss. Over time, Jasmine chose silence, focusing on her daughter and community work. Today, Jasmine Guy is 63 years old. She still lives in Atlanta, occasionally appearing in television projects and teaching acting. Though her net worth is modest, around $2 million, she remains a lasting symbol of grace, resilience, and strength. Lela Rochon as Sunshine. Lela Rochon was born on April 17, 1964, in Torrance, California. At 25 years old, she played Sunshine, a woman so irresistibly seductive that men lost all sense of reason, a sensual icon who captured every viewer's gaze. That role transformed Lela into Hollywood's new muse. When the flashbulbs dimmed, Lela faced Hollywood's indifference. Typecast as the hot girlfriend, she gradually lost opportunities for leading roles and retreated behind the scenes. Her marriage to director Antoine Fuqua seemed stable until 2019, when his affair scandal exploded, pulling her name into a media storm. The betrayal, caught in photographs, devastated her. She vanished from public view for months, battling depression and hypertension brought on by relentless stress. Despite the pain, she returned to small projects, making rare TV appearances while focusing on raising her 2 children and rediscovering life after heartbreak. Lela once confessed, "Fame used to be a dream. Now it's just a burden. I just want peace." Now, Lela Rochon is 61 years old. She lives quietly with her family in Los Angeles, far from scandal, taking on roles only when they truly inspire her. With an estimated net worth of $10 million, she no longer seeks the spotlight, because she's learned that sometimes the most beautiful thing in life is simply surviving the wounds fame leaves behind. Berinda Tolbert as Annie. Berinda Tolbert was born on November 4, 1949, in Charlotte, North Carolina. At 40 years old, she played Annie, a kind, intelligent woman who brought a touch of warmth to the film's cold world of crime. For Berinda, it was a rare chance to escape her long-held image as Jenny Willis Jefferson. When The Jeffersons ended, Tolbert hoped Hollywood would offer new opportunities, but reality was harsh. As a black woman in her 40s, she was repeatedly rejected, landing only small supporting roles. Though she appeared in Goodfellas, 1990, and Patriot Games, 1992, Berinda was still labeled a TV supporting actress. Her marriage to journalist Bob Reed also suffered, as career instability pushed her into depression and self-doubt. She endured several personal tragedies, losing siblings in an accident and seeing her home destroyed by fire in 2003, which consumed all her scripts and film memorabilia. Instead of giving up, Tolbert chose a simpler life, moving away from Hollywood to teach acting and participate in independent projects. Today, Berinda Tolbert is 76 years old. She lives quietly with her husband in North Carolina, occasionally attending film panels and charity events. Though her net worth is only around $1 million, audiences remember her not for wealth, but for her resilience. A woman who stood tall amid ruins and still smiles when recalling the light that once shone on her. Thomas McCall Ford as Tommy Smalls. Thomas McCall Ford was born on September 5, 1964, in Los Angeles. When he appeared in Harlem Nights, 1989, at the age of 25, he played Tommy Smalls, a funny, innocent, and likable young man who often found himself caught in unexpected trouble. Though a small role, it was charming enough to open the door to Ford's golden decade in comedy, especially with his unforgettable portrayal of Tommy Strawn in the hit sitcom Martin, 1992 to 1997. After the glory of Martin, Ford faced a harsh reality. Fame wasn't enough to sustain a career. Acting roles became scarce, and he was forced to shift toward smaller projects like New York Undercover and The Parkers. As his career declined, his marriage to Gina Sasso crumbled under financial pressure and personal conflict, leading to divorce after nearly 2 decades together. Despite having 2 children, Ford often confessed his guilt for not being there enough for his family. Yet, he didn't disappear. Ford reinvented himself as a motivational figure, founding the nonprofit Be Still and Know, writing children's books, and traveling across America to speak about responsibility and self-respect. But fate was cruel. In mid-2016, while completing a documentary on bullying, Ford suffered a ruptured abdominal aneurysm. On October 12, 2016, Thomas Mickle Ford passed away at an Atlanta hospital at the age of 52. The news shocked friends and fans alike. At the time of his death, he left behind an estimated net worth of $2 million and, more importantly, a moral legacy. That of an artist who had fallen, lost everything, yet continued to live and give until his final breath. Robin Harris as Jerome. Robin Harris was born on August 30, 1953, in Chicago, Illinois. When he joined Harlem Nights, 1989, at 36 years old, he played Jerome, a witty, loud, and honest man who brought laughter amid the film's tense gunfights. Just a year later, audiences were still talking about his raspy voice and his iconic Bebe's Kids storytelling style, a defining hallmark of late 1980s black comedy. When Harlem Nights and Do the Right Thing propelled his name to fame, Robin entered the brightest period of his life. His role as the father in House Party, 1990, had critics calling him the Chicago comic star on the verge of exploding. But life off stage was far from easy. Endless performances, financial pressure, and being away from his wife, Exetta Harris, and their young child drained him. Even with his wife 6 months pregnant, Robin pushed himself to perform across the country, driven by both passion and a lingering fear of poverty that haunted him since childhood. On March 18, 1990, during a tour stop in Chicago, Robin Harris died suddenly in his room at the Four Seasons Hotel. He was only 36. The coroner determined the cause was heart arrhythmia, likely from exhaustion after too many sleepless nights performing. His wife gave birth to their son, Robin Jr., 6 months later. Hollywood was stunned. A legend in the making had vanished overnight. Harris was buried at Inglewood Memorial Park Cemetery in California, in a mausoleum funded by fellow comedians. His net worth at the time of death was around $500,000, but his legacy reached far beyond that number, a reminder that true talent can outlive even the shortest of lives. Stan Shaw as Jack Jenkins. Stan Shaw was born on July 14, 1952, in Chicago, Illinois. At 37 years old, he played boxer Jack Jenkins, a strong, honest man symbolizing resilience in a world of crime. It was a small role, but one that cemented Stan's image as one of cinema's quiet heroes. After Harlem Nights, Shaw continued to build an impressive career with films such as Fried Green Tomatoes, 1991, Rising Sun, 1993, and Daylight, 1996. However, a serious car accident in the late 1990s left him severely injured, forcing him off film sets for years. The interruption devastated his finances and strained his marriage to psychologist Zoe Shaw. Following the deaths of his brother and close relatives, Stan fell into depression and nearly disappeared from Hollywood. In the 2000s, he accepted only small television roles in CSY and The X-Files before quietly retreating. Yet his artistic spirit never faded. After more than 2 decades of silence, Stan made a comeback in Jeepers Creepers 3, 2017, and The Family Business, 2022 to 2024, impressing fans with his perseverance and enduring presence. Though no longer at his peak, he remained humble, once saying, "I don't need to be remembered as a star, only that I tried." In 2025, Stan Shaw is 73 years old. He lives alone in Los Angeles after his 2023 divorce, spending his time writing screenplays and teaching martial arts to youth. With a net worth of about $1.5 million, Shaw stands as a rare symbol of endurance, an artist who lost everything yet kept standing, smiling and fighting, just like his character Jack Jenkins once did. Vic Polizos as Richie Vento. Vic Polizos was born on August 12, 1947, in Montgomery, Alabama. At 42 years old, he played Richie Vento, a loyal yet calculating henchman in Sugar Ray's criminal world. With his stern face and raspy, steel-edged voice, Vic quickly became one of Hollywood's most recognizable character actors, a face audiences always knew, even if they couldn't remember his name. After Harlem Nights, Vic continued to prove his talent through supporting roles in The Last Boy Scout, 1991, and Eraser, 1996, as well as appearances in dozens of TV series like Boston Legal and NYPD Blue. Yet the spotlight never truly found him. As age crept in, roles became scarcer, and Vic faced the painful reality of fading visibility. During this uncertain period, he suffered the devastating loss of his brother to cancer, a blow that plunged him into deep depression. Then, a serious car accident in the early 2000s nearly took his life, keeping him hospitalized for months and costing him several key film opportunities. His personal life was equally turbulent. After 2 failed marriages, Vic quietly divorced his second wife, actress Christine Estabrook. He later admitted, "I traded my marriage for a role, and it was the worst decision I ever made." In 2015, he found peace again when he married Elizabeth Baker, who helped him rebuild his spirit after years of loneliness. Together, they have 2 children and co-manage a small independent production company, a space where Vic finally tells stories on his own terms. Now, Vic Polizos is 78 years old. He lives quietly in California, occasionally appearing in small television projects and teaching acting to younger generations. With an estimated net worth of about $1 million, he no longer chases fame but lives by a simple philosophy he once shared in an interview. "I don't need applause. I just want to keep working until my last breath." A modest yet profound statement perfectly reflecting the spirit of Richie Vento, the man who remained loyal to his craft even when the world forgot his name. 36 years have passed, yet Harlem Nights still echoes as a timeless symbol of its era. But after all this time, who among them moves you the most? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe so we can continue exploring the forgotten legends of Hollywood together.